Thank you very much.
Okay, so now you're live on everything.
Beautiful.
So I'm going to minimize, and then here you go. All right, Dr. Merriman.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Sunita Merriman, and it is my privilege and delight to be with you for these next 45 minutes. Some of you may also know me as Mrs. Carlson, and many of you know me as Sunita. I come to you as all of these people. I also come to you as someone who is a doctor, is a mother, I am a writer, but what else I have is the experience of being a survivor of childhood trauma. I know what depression is. I know what anxiety is. I also know that many a times we show up with smiles on our faces, but that's not how we are feeling inside. I want to share with you that I, at some point in my life, with encouragement, but mainly because within me I wanted to feel better and live better and do better, I sought help. In that, a miracle happened. I realized there was something that was always within me that I could access in times of trouble. And that is what I'm here to talk about. So let's get started. First of all, we're going to start with a tool. This is something that I use often. I teach my patients this, and many a times I have to remember to do what's called a physiologic sigh. You may have heard people tell you, breathe deeply when you feel disturbed or you're stressed out, and someone will say, well, take a deep breath. I'm here to teach you something that is a little different. So let's try this together. What I want you to do is take 2 normal, not deep breaths, but normal in-breaths through your nose. Once we do that, and we're going to do it together, you're going to exhale. So you're not going to breathe in, you're going to exhale deeply through your mouth. So let's try it. How do you feel? That is the fastest way that we know how to bring our body to a more relaxed state. So I hope you'll remember this when you feel a little stressed out or worried about something or very excited and you need to come down to a calm place. I hope you remember the physiologic sigh, which is, once again, we're going to do it one more time. So remember that tool. I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a story of 2 people that had the same intention. They wanted to help others, they wanted to have a great life themselves, but they did it a little bit differently. So they worked hard, they saved up their money, and they bought a house. Imagine this house is identical for both of them. So they bought pretty much the same house. Person 1 said, I want to help people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my house for anybody and everybody who would like to come in. So they can come, feel comfortable, do what they need to do, rest here. The other person said, I don't know, that doesn't sound too good to me. It makes me a little uncomfortable. So I'm going to have certain times when people can come in, and I'm going to be there, and I'm going to, have some house rules. So remember, these are two people. They built and bought the same house, but I'm going to show you what happened to that particular house, the same house. So let's look at this. This house that I'm going to show you is the inside of the person who said, my heart is so big, I want to help everybody and anybody, so I'm just going to open my house to everybody. How does this seem to you? Does this seem healthy? So unfortunately, people came in. Some people did not have the same boundaries and rules that this person had. Some people didn't recognize that great intention. Some people were just really disturbed, and they didn't know how to really take care of this house. So this is what happened to that person's house. Same house, but let's look at the inside of the other person's house who said, you know what, I'm going to just have a few rules. I'm going to have a few boundaries, and I'm going to set up a program to help others and live in this house myself. So let's take a look and see what happened there. Which house do you want to go in? And which house do you think has the capability of helping more people? This house or this house? So keep that in mind as we go about finding a way to help others have a beautiful house. And house is a metaphor. I think you guys have figured that out. Let's keep moving and let's see. I'm going to be giving you big ideas. I'm going to be giving you big concepts. But I want those seeds to be planted so that you can have a house and a world that looks like this. The fact of the matter is that life is very much like a buffet. We all get the opportunity to go, the doors open. I'm sure everybody's been to a buffet. And you go there and there are so many choices, so many things on that table. But if we don't stop and pay attention, what we'll notice is that the table is full of a lot of fillers. I call them fillers because you can go to them, you get so full, and there may be some really cool, healthy, awesome, tasty items that you don't even get to. So when you have a buffet, it always is best if you have a game plan. You have an idea, what are the things that you really want from this huge spread? And life is like that. The thing about life is that it seems like we have so much time, we have so much energy, we can really put our focus anywhere we want, but that is actually not true. Time, as you know, is never coming back. Time is so measured. Once it's gone, it's not going to come back. So time is non-renewable. The resources that are renewable are our attention and our focus. So those are two products that we really want to hoard. We want to renew, we want to refresh, and we want to use our time, which is non-renewable. We can do nothing about the clock, but we can make the choices on how we're going to spend our time very carefully, and then our attention and focus. So going back to the buffet, we've got life, we've got things we want to do, but how are we going to achieve them? What is a good life? That's a question that, we all come up with. Everybody listening to me today has their own concept. You have your own goals. You want to have a good life. You want to have a successful life, a happy life. So what makes that happy life? Well, we have some answers. The grant study at Harvard University started in 1938. It is the only study in this world that has an 80-year history of continuously studying a group of people that started in 1938. Now, you would say, well, that's a long time ago, but this study followed them for decades. And now there are many more people that are a part of this project. And there is data that has been sifted through for decades. And you would think that with the medical evaluations that they looked at, the blood tests, the genetic histories, what is it, the education levels, what is it that made a good life? They interviewed these people, they interviewed their family. They would do this periodically for decades, and you would be surprised to see what the result was. So in a nutshell, yes, good genes are great. There's a place for good genes in our outcomes, but joy is better. Loneliness kills. There is no question that many of you, and that includes me, suffer from loneliness from time to time. However, the key to healthy aging is relationships. This is the newest information based on neuroscience, based on the studies, research. But it's not so new, because if you really are reading the philosophers, the scholars from centuries ago, human interaction, human contact has been the basis. We are a social animal. The way we function best is when we connect. Today is all about social emotional learning. How do we get together? How do we get along with each other? How do we cooperate? How do we have ways to express ourselves where we have empathy for ourselves and empathy for each other? We want to be happy. So when we have someone like our grandparents telling us, that's called wisdom. What they are telling us is wisdom. But here is a research program, a research that has spanned decades from Harvard University, and all that information is coming to the same conclusion. It is our relationships. It's how we relate to other people. How close are we? Do we have people that we can call in the middle of the night? This was one of the questions. This was one of the things that the people that in this study after decades said the determinant of their successful, happy life was not their job, not how much money they had. Yes, there was a place that made a big difference, but the crux of the situation was they identified a good life as for the people that felt that they had someone they could call in the middle of the night to say, I need help. They were that close to those people. That was what they considered a good life. And that's what, as I said, today is all about. So in my dental practice, in my sleep practice, in my personal experience of healing, how did I heal? I healed through very sophisticated and good psychotherapy, but I also healed, and primarily healed, when I felt that I was connecting with someone. We are here to love and to be loved. That is the bottom line. So how do we have a successful life and accomplish the things that we have, the ambition, the potential, the intellect? I know how bright you all are. I know what a great school district we have. So how can I share with you what science is teaching us, what advanced research is showing, and what wisdom is? So this is how we thrive. Let's go to the bottom, the foundation, and I'm looking at my slide, so I want you to look at it as well. So at the bottom, we have love, SLSCF, that's self-love, self-care first, connection and relational health. I've put it as the foundation of all these pillars of health. Then we have sleep, mental and emotional health. If we're not well here and here, we cannot make the decisions that we need to make for the pillars of health, which is exercise, nutrition, stress management and emotions management, and hydration. So if we're not finding the love and the relational health, the security of feeling connected, and we're not sleeping well, and mentally we're not quite in the place of health, then we cannot do the exercise, the nutrition, the stress management, and the hydration, which are the fundamental pillars of health. So see how I keep going back to relational health. How do we feel? Do we feel connected? Do we feel alone? Do we feel depressed and anxious? I want to take this opportunity to let you know that today my program is not a mental health program. It is about mental health, it's about emotional health, but I want to encourage you that all the resources that your school is providing for mental health counselors, I know you had a presentation before from Rutgers, all those resources, if you are feeling depressed, if you are feeling lonely, if you're feeling like you're not quite well and you can't handle things, please ask for help as soon as you can, immediately. So let's talk about thriving. We're going to just review this so we can move on, and I can talk about something really exciting that is going to help every single one of us to thrive. So again, going back to the foundations, putting relational health or love first, starting with self-love, self-care first, and then prioritizing your relationship with others, prioritizing your sleep, mental health, and emotional health. And then here are the pillars to review: the staying active, exercise, moving, getting out there like you did all day today, eating reasonably, managing your emotions and stress, and hydration. These are the pillars of health and wellness. The term social emotional learning was coined by the present president of Yale University, Peter Salovey, and the term was popularized by Daniel Goleman, who wrote a book, Emotional Intelligence, which still is one of the most wonderful books I've read. So today, your SEL Day provides the foundation for safe and positive learning and enhances your ability to succeed in school, in your upcoming careers, and in your life. The competencies that I'm sure you've talked about all day are self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, social awareness, and relationship skills. And that's what I'm talking about today. So here's a picture of the brain. The part of the brain that we want to access when we are making all of these decisions is the frontal lobe. And that is the part of the brain that is the executive function. It's the boss of the brain. It's the one that's wise, and it helps us when we think through that part of the brain. It helps us make solid, thoughtful decisions. We can look farther out there. And today, what I'm talking about is how do we get that part of the brain to be where we go to? How can that become our go-to part, as opposed to the brain parts that are more primitive, that are more reactive, that are more the fight or flight, where we have very limited choices to think something through, and we may react and not get the best outcome that we are looking for. So that's what self-love, self-care first is about. That is what the social emotional learning day is about. So when you think about it, the brain is on the bottom and there's all kinds of weeds there. We want to get to the top part. We want to get to decision making. We want to feel good. We want to feel connected. We want to feel love. We want to feel all our intelligence and our talents and our gifts. And we want to work in a way that we can bring that about in our interactions with other people. And we want to encourage other people to get to the top part where there are the music notes, the butterflies. I hope you can see all this slide very, very nicely. It's a little bit lighter, but I hope you can see it. So I'm going to put up a slide next, and I want to have you read it, and then I'm going to talk about it. Self-love and self-care, so important. But I would like to introduce this big concept and this idea as a fundamental practice that will bring all of us to the place of success, achievement, relational health, joy, helping others. And it is the dynamic practice. By that, what I mean is what self-love, self-care first is today for us may not be the same practice that it would be best for us 10 years from now. So as we change, our ways of practicing self-love, self-care first will change as well. And that's dynamic. It's not fixed. It is the practice, and this is the word that I want you to pay attention to, the practice of paying attention to ourselves and getting to continuously discover, know, and understand ourselves. It's an ongoing commitment to create an honest and intimate relationship with ourselves. It's a promise to treat ourselves with loving kindness, compassion, forgiveness, and respect. Think about how you jump into a situation where your best friend is feeling discouraged or nervous or sad. Or maybe they're having a hard time learning something. What do you say to that person? It's okay, you got this, you're going to get this, it's okay. Now I want you to think about yourself when you're having a hard time getting something, or you made a mistake, or you didn't necessarily come up with something that is at the level that you thought you could. And I'm going to give you an example and an illustration. I was working with your vice principal, Mr. Ray, on how to put this all together because this YouTube streaming live, this was something new for me. And it's not one of my strengths. So I was really stressed out. I was getting very nervous. And he was helping me. He is so kind. And thank you, Mr. Ray. I couldn't have done this without you. So I started to talk to myself. And in my frustration, the parts of the brain that are more primitive, the limbic system, really came into play very quickly. And I started to get frustrated with myself. I'm like, oh, come on. How is it that I can't get this so quickly? What is this? And because self-love, self-care first is a practice, and I practice this day in, day out, and I've been doing it a while, I was able to come back from that and say, oh, okay, Sunita, you're going in the wrong direction. I, at that point, had to do the breathing. And let's just take a break and do it again. So imagine you're frustrated with something you can't learn, it's just not your day. So here's my self-talk. Okay, Sunita, you've never done this before. You don't know how to do this. So just calm down. And then let's bring my attention back. Let's bring my focus back. I got this. I'm not supposed to know everything. And in that, I also expressed gratitude. I said, Mr. Ray, thank you so much. And I got patient with myself. So that is self-love, self-care first. The relationship we have with ourselves sets the tone of our relationship with others and informs them how we expect to be treated. It's the foundation of our self-image and sets the tone of our self-talk. Our self-talk determines how we respond to what happens to us. So I gave you that example. Now, since yesterday I didn't become an expert in streaming live, I didn't become an expert, but I got enough to be able to do this. And I must tell you, I'm really proud of myself. This was really good. So that self-talk helped me to change the course of the nonsense that I started to put in my head. And that's what self-love, self-care first is about, is to have that self-talk be positive, encouraging, compassionate. Without self-love, self-care first, we cannot have meaningful relationships that foster belonging and connection. And remember, that's the foundation of us succeeding, to meet our goals, to reach for the stars. We need relational health. So to create the successful life that we're all so excited about, that we're excited to achieve, going to college, learning new things, having a new job. So without self-love, self-care first, and this is what I want to stress, we cannot renew our attention or our focus. And remember, those are our renewable resources. We need to continuously bring focused attention on the things that we want to learn and do. So without this, we can't do it. Without self-love, self-care first, we cannot love, care for others, and help others, because guess what? If we're not taking care of ourselves, we're depleted. And when we're on a flight, what happens? We're talking, and all of a sudden now we've got the flight attendant who is telling us how to be safe, but the first thing she tells us, if the plane goes into any kind of disturbance, put your oxygen mask on first. In the empty well, what do we have to give anybody else? Really nothing. So self-love, self-care first, it's a win-win practice, and it is the fundamental basis of creating the best you, the best me. So then you can have a great life, you can create, you can design, you can make a great life, a successful life, a good life for yourself, for your family, for our friends. We can do it, And that trickles into our community. And what about our community? It's part of our society, and that is a part of the world. Your generation is going to solve our problems. We have big issues. We need all of your energies and talents and gifts. The issues of sustainable development, climate change, global ethics, science and technology, racial justice. How do we take all of these big issues and solve them? We have to start locally. Self-love, self-care first. We take care of ourselves first. Relational health, then we have great relationships, and then we have the pillars: sleep, mental health, and then the pillars. So today I'm talking about a program. This is a program. This isn't just a concept. So self-love, self-care first, as I said, is dynamic in nature. It is a practice, so it needs to be proactively scheduled into our daily schedules like any other events. It's neither selfish nor indulgent. It is critically important to take care of ourselves first. It requires us to be mindful, and I'm sure I'm not the first one who mentioned the word mindful today. Self-love, self-care first isn't only about taking care of our body. Science is slowly catching up to spiritual leaders, to philosophers from ages ago who knew that the mind, the body, the emotions, the spirit, they're connected. And to thrive, we have to take care of all of these dimensions of ourself. So what I do is I create a catalog of self-love, self-care first activities that you enjoy. My catalog doesn't necessarily have to be yours because you're a different person. What do you enjoy? What do you like to do? Many a times, I'm going to take the example of company. There are times when I feel like I need to be by myself so that I can recharge myself with my thoughts. I need to cleanse my thoughts. I need to clear my mind. But then sometimes I feel like I really need company. I want to feel connected. And then a self-love, self-care first activity really is something where I might pick up the phone and say to my friend, hey, let's, do you want to get together? Let's go out for a walk. Let's go out for dinner. So it's really going to depend. But there are many activities that are for physical health, for your emotional health, for your spiritual health, and your emotional health. So I hope you're getting the idea of what self-love, self-care first is and how exciting it is, how dynamic, and there are so many things that we can do. But what we need to do is, as I said before, discover who we are. Discover your heart bliss. When I was talking to Dr. Shallop, he talked a lot about when we were planning this day and what my program was about. And he was talking about restorative, restful, times. How do you have restorative, restful breaks so that the brain is ready to learn? So I have come up with something I call heart bliss. When we do something we love, it energizes us. And that is a big part of self-love, self-care first, our heart bliss. Do things that you love. And remember, it's not just self-love and not just self-care. It's putting yourself first. Sleep, as I said, and I get very excited because I'm a sleep clinician and I love to sleep. But it's the foundational component of self-love, self-care first. We hear a lot about all the bad things that can happen when we don't sleep well, and those are important to know. Drowsy driving, our immune system goes down where we have double the risk of getting cancer. The issues of not getting enough sleep are so many. Depression, anxiety, mood irritability, relationship issues. There are so many health concerns when we have disrupted sleep or fragmented sleep or insufficient sleep. But what I'm here to talk about today is the exciting part of sleep. What does sleep do for us? It's a magic potion. It's free. It's a prescription you can fill at any age, any time, and every night. If you sleep enough and you sleep well consistently, the benefits are so many. Did you know that the retention benefits of sleeping, offered by sleep for memory retention, if you sleep well, you sleep consistently well, in your age group, believe it or not, it's 9 hours. But if you're getting good sleep, your retention is up by 20 to 40%. Think about that. So instead of slogging longer while you're tired and sleep deprived, if you study and go to bed on time, your brain is going to do the work of the retention, the memory, arranging that information in the different parts of your brain. So when you wake up, actually, it's like a subcontractor. It's actually done a lot of the work for you already, so you've retained what you've learned. Parts of your sleep cycle are considered therapy centers. Your REM cycle, we are learning more and more about it, is like therapy at night. During your REM cycle, there is a stress-releasing hormone called noradrenaline. Did you know that when you are in your REM cycle, that is the only time that your brain does not secrete this hormone? So we are seeing a lot of healing happening during the REM cycle. If you have a tough day, that's the time of your sleep cycle that is going to mollify that stress, that trauma, that event. So there are so many reasons, your heart health, your brain health, your memory, to your mood, for you to be sleeping. So all the goals you have to get a higher SAT score, to succeed in an exam, I'm here to tell you, if you focus and have better attention by doing what all day you've been shown and taught and activities, and you're having good relationships, you're paying attention in school, you're eating well, you're hydrating, you're going to learn well, but the icing on the cake is going to be sleeping for adequate time with consistent bedtimes and awake times, and I promise you, your grades are actually going to get better. So let's look at a recap. Our major resources are finite. Time, once the time is gone, we're done. Attention, renewable. Focus, renewable. How? Good relationships, love, sleep, mental health, hydration, being active, exercising, nutrition, eating well, cutting down on sugars, bare minimum, and managing your stress and mental health. And that's by accessing your not your limbic brain. Oh no, not the limbic brain, but your frontal cortex. So here are the columns. Here's the foundation. Again, love, connection, relational health, sleep, mental and emotional health. The pillars: exercise, eating well, stress management, and hydration. So I have some questions for you to ponder, but I want to show you this picture. This is a thoroughbred, just like you. Precious, valuable, loved, each one of you who's listening, please know how precious you are. You're a thoroughbred. Your race is your race. You put those blinders on and you listen to your voice. You get to know yourself and know that inside you, you have everything you need. It's not going to be easy sometimes to practice self-love, self-care first. People may not want for you to put themselves first for whatever reason. So you can't invite a poet and not get a poem. So let's finish with a poem. A hard conversation. I'm not here to make it easy for you. I'm here to make it true for me. It's time for me to know you see me. You don't have to. It's really your choice. But understand that I won't be waiting here for you to know me. I know myself. That's good enough for me. When you know yourself, that will be good enough. And your true friends will say, bravo, we love you the way you are. We are here for you the way you are just today. Because where you are today is perfect. If you strive to improve from a place of love and self-compassion, forgiveness and self-acceptance, you will have a good life and you will achieve so much you will surprise yourself. That is where the strength comes in. There are a few activities and questions that I have for you to ponder, but I'm going to send all of these in a document to Dr. Shallop so he can share them very quickly right after. And there are also some sleep tips. But this is the question that I find most interesting, and I invite you to consider this question. I will practice self-love, self-care first and prioritize my sleep so I can dream big. Put a big dream there. Put a big goal there, because that's how we should roll. But it's your dream. It's your goal. It's your vision of your life. Dream in color. Dream big, because everything you need is within you. Everything. So connect to yourself. Be present. Be inspired. But most of all, be love. It has been my privilege to be a part of this day and to spend this time that, as you know, is non-renewable. So for you to share this time with me is a gift. I'm looking at the time. We are right there. So thank you and be well.